Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and today I'm going to be talking about the nonfiction books that I have on my TBR. I'm only going to be talking about the physical books I have on my TBR rather than like my nebulous, ever-changing, ever-growing, way bigger than my life will ever contain number of books TBR online, like my Goodreads and my Storygraph TBR. But these are the ones that I currently have on my shelf and have for a long time. For some of them, they're very recent. So I'm going to just run through these quick and talk about why I have them, what they're about, and hopefully when I'll read them. So my goal is usually to read about one nonfiction book a quarter. I usually end up doing more than this, but that's like my baseline goal to kind of keep myself on track and keep reminding myself to read nonfiction because I do enjoy it when I pick it up. I usually focus on history and biography. Those are like my two niche choices, but there are other exceptions, of course. So the first two books that I'm going to talk about are both by Ibram X. Kendi. The first is Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America, and that subtitle sums up what this book is about very well. And the other one I have is How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi, and this is exactly what it says on the tin. It's an examination of racist ideas in America and how to be an anti-racist. I've had these two both for a while, probably this one longer than this one. Kendi actually came to an event at my college, and I went and saw him speak there, and it was very interesting. I've had this on my shelf ever since, and I just keep meaning to get to it, but I usually have these tucked away. For a long time I had them tucked away on another shelf, thinking I had like a nonfiction shelf of TBR books, but what really was happening was I kept forgetting about them. So I have to pick this up. I have to pick these both up. I'm hoping to do it on audiobook sometime this year. This is a chunky book, so it's a bit intimidating, but these two are ones that I am super interested in getting to. The other one I have here is The History of White People by Nell Irving Painter. This is another one I've had on my shelf for a while because I read, when I was in college, I had a professor who assigned another book by Nell Irving Painter as one of our textbooks, and I read that in her class, and then it's a long story, but I acquired this book from a friend after college, after a bit of time had passed since we'd been in college, and she had been assigned this one in one of her classes. So again, something else I've wanted to read for a while, but has kind of been lounging on my shelf off to the side because I keep forgetting about it. So I've moved these onto my regular TBR shelf in hopes that they will be a little more present in my mind. And I have to take the time to read them. The next three are not quite as closely related as the first three were. This one is An American History of Cuba by Ada Ferrer. I picked this up in 2022 at my local indie. They had it and had a highly glowing recommendation on it, and it's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. And this sounded so interesting and fascinating, and I've always been interested in Cuba, and we get such a bare minimum history of the Cuban history in American history, and this is also sort of related to how America and Cuba interact, which is another interesting point to me. So I definitely want to check this out. I started reading this as soon as I got it to kind of just get a feel for it. Like, I bought it I should have done this. I was reading it at the bookstore as soon as I bought it, and I should have done it the other way around, but I just wanted to make sure I got a good feel for it and that the writing style was going to be for me, and it was so interesting I could not stop. But then I left the bookstore and I put this down and I kind of forgot about it. So I want to go back to this, but we'll see. That's a goal, another goal for this year. Of course, my goal is to read all of this nonfiction this year. That's my goal for every TBR I make, but yeah, it probably won't happen with all of them. But that's the hope. Then I have Mindhunter, which is Inside the FBI's Elite Serial Crime Unit by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. I have an interest in true crime, and I have heard this one recommended by other people. I also never watched the Netflix series on it, so I wanted to check it out. I'm not sure where this one will go. I get a little picky about my true crime because I want it to be presented in a way that's not hero worship of serial killers, so we'll see where this goes. I haven't read very many reviews of this, but I did pick this up a couple of years ago. So That's another one. And then the last one I have here is one that was my birthday gift from my parents, and it was Paul O'Neill and Jack Curry's 9 Innings of What Baseball Taught Me, Swing and Hit. Paul O'Neill was my favorite baseball player when I was a kid. I'm a big Yankees fan, and I follow them pretty religiously, and Paul O'Neill is still a sportscaster, and he, like I said, he was my favorite player as a kid. And when he came out with his book, my parents were like, yes, we should get that for her, because that was but yeah, so I'm hoping to read this year. It sounds really interesting, and I want to relive Paul O'Neill's career because that was my childhood. But those are the 6 nonfictions that are currently sitting on my shelf and that I want to read. Like I said, I'm hoping to read more of these this year because I've moved them onto my TBR shelf with the rest of my fiction books and kind of remind myself of them a little more often. But they're all things that I am super interested in checking out. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!